Welcome everybody to Enter the Bunker, launching you into thriving on this wonderful Friday. My name is Jonathan Bahai. I'm the co-host of Enter the Bunker and the owner of the 64,000 square foot nuclear bunker, which you've just entered here today in our live stream. And I am here today with
Brandon Niles. I'm a part-time co-host. Normally you see Kelly on here, but she is away today, so I'm filling in, hanging out.
she's on vacay.
She's on vacay
Yeah.
before the weekend, like an extra long weekend.
Yep.
Foolish. So it looks a little different. This is the first time people are seeing it live.
Yeah, we've got this. This is live actually.
This
so
is
for
live,
the first
yeah.
time, yeah. So we got this new set, and it's all for the format of the show. That's going to be in a we're introducing a new podcast as part of the show, and part of what we offer with the community. So we're very excited to have this new format. We've got all kinds of interesting things here, and yeah, so it'll be lots of fun.
Yeah, definitely. So this is basically what you're going to see. We're going to post our podcast as a video as well here on YouTube. But if you want to listen to the audio portion of it, you can head to basically wherever you get your podcast. It could be on Spotify, it could be on Apple, Google, Amazon. It's all there. We have our trailer episode up now, so you can kind of go listen, see what we're going to be doing over the next little while. And our first actual episode goes live tonight at 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, so it's going to be a lot of fun. So this week is all about perceptiveness. We've been talking about how to look at things and trying to keep an open mind when, just observing the world.
Right.
And I thought a fun thing that would be a lot of fun to do for Fun Friday, I said fun like 500 times, would be to look at some different optical illusions.
Okay.
So you know how like you scroll through Facebook, ooh, what do you see? Do you see a boot or Nova Scotia type of thing, right?
Right.
So I went and I picked out a couple different ones. And I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
This should be interesting. For the last 3 days, I've honestly had not gotten a lot of sleep. So my perceptiveness in this exercise is going to be a little wonky. So I might see some pretty strange things, I think.
Awesome.
So we'll see.
I love it. So let's check out the first one.
Here we go. Woo-hoo-hoo. Optical illusions.
So what do you see first?
So I will admit that when I first looked at it, I thought I saw a duck, but then I immediately saw a rabbit.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's two there. So it's designed so like if you see, I think it's the duck first, but you don't see the rabbit, you're less likely to be more creative. So they actually did a study behind this. If you're able to see both, you're likely going to be a very creative person.
Okay.
And the faster, they also did a study too, the faster you see both, like so if you can see both of them like right away, chances are you're able to look at an object and find multiple uses for that object.
Okay, so that's great then. I think I am a pretty creative person, and so that's exactly what happened. I first glanced at it, I saw a duck, and then I immediately saw the rabbit in the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So let us know what you saw. Let's move on to the next one. So there's two things here. Which do you see first?
Well, first I saw two faces looking at each other, and then I saw a cup.
Yeah. So that's basically what it is: vase, cup. And two faces. So this is basically showing that your brain can only focus on one. It tries to make it three-dimensional.
Okay.
So what it's doing is it makes one the background and one the foreground. And it's proving that your brain just can't focus on multiple things at once.
Right.
And then I read the article further, and basically it was could you imagine what it would be like if your brain tried to focus on multiple things at once? Yeah. It would just be so confusing.
Yeah. We can't. We have to. I mean, we're linear in terms of how we take things in, right? So.
Right. That's right.
Yep.
So the next one.
Ooh, what's gonna be next? Okay.
This is a still image. Let me remind you.
It is.
Yes.
I'm tripping out then. I'm tripping out here. This is crazy.
Yeah, so apparently the curves and all the different hexagons and whatnot, the way it's designed is to make it look like it's moving, but I promise you 100% that is a still image.
That is crazy. So yeah, when I was looking at it, I could see it just moving. It looked like it was actually moving in real time.
Yeah.
It's not just sitting there. It's actually progressing through the image.
And that, to prove that this is a still image, if you look at like one of the hexagons that's cut off by the ball, it doesn't shrink.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at the corners of where the cone kind of goes up.
Yeah.
And I can see how it's not actually moving from those points. So
Right.
just to have those points of reference tells me it's not moving. But if you look at the whole thing, your brain's saying that thing is twisting as you look at it, right?
It's
pretty
hard
crazy.
to contemplate. So I got one more, and this one,
crazy.
you may remember this. It went viral 4 years ago.
Okay.
Do you remember this?
No, I never saw this.
This was the infamous dress. So this went crazy. I think it was in 2017.
Okay.
And people couldn't decide if it was white and gold or blue and black.
Why?
So I looked into this, and apparently it's a combination of two things.
Okay.
It's the combination of the lighting,
Okay.
and apparently as humans, we all perceive colors differently than the next person.
Okay. Fair enough.
So I grabbed a picture also of what it actually is,
Okay.
and it is blue and black.
That's what I see. Yeah.
You see blue and black?
Yeah, I don't understand what the.
I see white and gold.
No way.
Honest to God, I see white and gold.
It's blue and black.
But
It's
so that one is blue and
that's
black.
why I'm so confused. Why it's like why
But
it's
there,
even a debate.
I see white and gold.
You see white and gold.
Honest to God, I swear.
So what does that mean?
Apparently, it's just the way we perceive colors. So I perceive colors differently than you do.
That's interesting. So like that brings up an interesting topic actually, because I've in the past I've actually used colors as an example of how difficult it is to talk about God. Like I would say, it's like it's like us trying to discuss the color blue.
Right.
Right? It's like my perception of blue, your perception of blue. We've got this idea that's blue, but you just admitted that you see something completely different than what I see.
Yeah.
Right? And when it comes to talking about God and our perception of how that is, not only is it so subjective that it's really difficult to talk about,
Yeah.
but we've got these different perceptions like from where we're sitting, right? So it's difficult. So like, yeah, that to me is just so strange. Like, because it's just, yeah, and to you, you're like, yeah, this is obvious. It's gold and white. And me, I'm just like, no, it's blue and black.
If somebody was to walk up to me and tell me, like, before knowing that like this wasn't a trick, or not a trick, but like that this was such a divided topic, if somebody walked up to me and said, oh yeah, it's a blue and black dress, I would have said, you're full of it. You're trying to trick me. That is
No
not blue and
way.
black. Honest to God,
That's
that looks like the
mind-blowing.
white and gold of like the gold and the white brick behind me.
That is mind blowing. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Destiny says people have literally got angry at each other over this.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, look, that's exactly what. Yeah, that is crazy.
But yeah, it was like back in, I think it was 2017. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, I think for a good 2 months, like a lot of radio stations were talking about it. I think local news networks were talking about this.
Jeez.
It blew up, and then it's all about how people perceive colors.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
So
just goes to show we have to give a little bit of understanding that people have different perspectives and they're not going to be the same as ours.
that's
So,
right. And I was reading something else too, and a lot of this is based on past experiences and like your experience with exposure to different colors.
Okay.
So like, and again, if I read this right, I think it's if you're exposed to more vibrant colors as a child, you see one side of the spectrum. If not, it's different or something.
So why I can remember seeing like TV shows where the parents were like psychologists and they had like these dioramas floating over their baby's crib that were just black and white. Why would they do that then? Like, wouldn't that keep them from being able to see colors?
I don't know, unless they were going for like shapes, like trying to get their child to be
Maybe it's the
recognize
shapes. But it's all black and white.
I don't know, honestly. That's just what I read. But yeah, so perception is. This is a question I commonly came across this week is perception reality, or is perception how you perceive reality?
Perception is how you perceive reality.
Yeah.
I mean, like, at the end of the day, we are all just walking bags of water, right?
Yeah.
So think about that, like how you take a cup of water and try to look through it and how the world looks when you do that. Everything we're processing in our minds and in our bodies and with our five senses are nothing but our ability to be able to take in a perception of what the reality around us is, right? And we even have tools with science now, like scientific tools that allow us to see beyond, like actually translate things that exist in the universe that to allow us to be able to actually see and hear and understand things that are beyond our scope of perception, right? So the truth is that, yeah, it's all, we're just perceiving reality as we're going here. So we need to be cognizant of that. And oftentimes people really, it's a lot of hubris to think that, if I can't see it and I can't touch it, it's not real. It's really like you're very limited in your reality is very limited if you think that's the way it is, right?
Definitely.
But the truth is that it's all perception.
Definitely.
So.
And I saw a TikTok this morning, and I shared it on our account. So if you want to go check it out, it's at Enter the Bunker. And it's this guy. He's basically talking about how perception is like signals that your eyes see, because your eyes are video cameras.
Right.
It sends like electrons to a certain part of your brain, and then that fires the image that you inevitably see.
Now, here's something interesting. I remember watching this show probably like 5 years ago. And it was talking about, and it was like some kind of show that was like talking about, not necessarily like there were mutants, but that these people were like superhumans or something. So there was this one guy who was born blind. Like he has never had sight in his entire life. But as an artist, he could be in front of, like you could see his paintings and he could paint exactly what was in front of him in his paintings.
Really?
So how, if it's really all just about what goes in the eyes and is in perception, how is it that he has this extra sensory perception, is basically what it is, beyond what his eyes have, to be able to perceive the reality that's in front of him, right? So, and it was amazing, like, and there were other people in that show, like this one guy who could go into freezing temperatures and never die, and things like this, right? So it was
superhumans.
Yeah, it was just illustrating all these kind of like mutant kind of people, right? So this one guy specifically on that thing where you talked about, what goes into our eyes, it gets processed. That's not true for him, and it may be the case for a lot of other people too, that they got this perception of what the reality around them is, and it just, maybe they haven't expressed it in the art the way this guy has.
Right.
But there's another way for us to be able to understand reality, and clearly this guy tapped into it somehow beyond what his, sight could give him. It's pretty amazing.
That's unfathomable.
Yeah, I wish I could. Man, I got it. Now I'm gonna have to dig and figure out where I saw that, but.
I'll do some research this afternoon and I'll share it on our socials.
Cool.
Add into the bunker for all of them. So next week we're doing purposefulness. Now here's a question going into next week that we can think about is, if your perception is clouded by whatever, could clouded perception cloud your purpose?
That's a good question. I think a really good example of that could be Helen Keller.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, she was, let's make sure I get this right. She was deaf. She was deaf and blind.
And mute.
Yes.
Whew.
So she couldn't talk.
Yeah.
She couldn't hear.
I think she inevitably communicated by like different like hand signals in like her guide's hand or something. I can't remember. I remember watching something on it and it was like she ended up like drawing letters, or like it was something like that.
Yeah. So just imagine being someone like that where their perception again is very clouded. Like that's about as clouded as you can get. And so she needs to be able to. So her entire reality, her purpose then became so focused in her ability to communicate that she went on to do amazing things, right? Yeah. And that's interesting because I think that a lot, and I talked about this earlier this week, where a lot of people don't appreciate how you can come from very, very difficult places, and those are usually the most ideal places for you to actually discover purpose, right? And so Helen Keller is a perfect example of where they're like, her perception of things were just completely mold, and she was able to go on to have great purpose. So it's amazing.
Wow.
That's life.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that more in depth next week as we explore the building brick purposefulness.
Sweet.
Yeah. So we're going to end it today. But again, like I said, our podcast is going to be going live tonight at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, wherever you get your podcast. And also, too, we have, I'm a hand talker, as well as we have the video version. You'll see this very same set going, I'm going to sit on my hands.
I think it's good. I think it's good.
Going live at the same time, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll wrap her up there. So thank you so much for tuning in. And again, next week for Purposefulness, you'll see our the first episode of the podcast for Purposefulness Wednesday evening, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My mind is gone.
It's time for the weekend.
Yes.
Till then,
yes.
have a great day. Have a great
week.
weekend.
Have a great weekend.